Most of us believe that if something smells strong, it's probably too harsh for our bodies. But here's a surprising twist. The very food we've avoided because of its pungent aroma might be the one quietly cleaning out our bloodstream every single day. I used to walk past garlic in the produce aisle, barely giving it a glance. That was until I saw what it did to one of my patients, a retired firefighter named Jack. Jack had circulation problems, fatigue, and rising blood pressure. At 72, he was convinced it was just old age catching up. What we discovered together changed that view forever. You see, garlic isn't just a spice. It's nature's vascular scrub brush. When you crush or chop a clove of raw garlic, it releases a sulfur compound called allicin. That little burst of chemistry triggers something remarkable. Allicin moves through the bloodstream, breaking down residual toxins, dissolving buildup in the arteries, and helping the blood flow smoother and freer. Think of it like pouring warm water through a clogged pipe. It doesn't happen in one go, but over time, it works wonders. The beauty here is that garlic doesn't just thin the blood, it also protects it. Rich in antioxidants, it shields your red blood cells from the kind of oxidative damage that leads to stiffness, inflammation, and eventually more serious conditions like atherosclerosis or heart attacks. But let me be clear. Garlic isn't perfect for everyone. Its taste can be intense, and for some, it might cause digestive discomfort if taken raw and on an empty stomach. That's the trade-off. You get an incredibly powerful natural detoxifier, but you have to know how to use it right. What worked for Jack was a simple routine. He'd crush one clove, let it sit for 10 minutes to activate the allicin, and then swallow it with a spoonful of olive oil right before breakfast. Within 2 months, his doctor noticed a significant drop in his systolic blood pressure. And Jack? He said his legs didn't ache as much anymore when walking, and his brain fog started to lift. Research backs this up. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition showed that regular garlic intake improves endothelial function, which is the fancy term for how well your blood vessels expand and contract. Another study from the National Institutes of Health showed reductions in both cholesterol and triglyceride levels in older adults who consumed aged garlic extract daily. That's not a supplement ad. That's peer-reviewed science. Now, here's the part I tell everyone. Garlic works best when it becomes a ritual. You don't need to chew on it raw every day, although that's the most potent form. You can roast it, blend it into soups, or stir it into a warm bone broth. The key is consistency. Over time, garlic builds a shield around your cardiovascular system. It won't give you instant results like a pill, but it will do something better. It will help your body fight its own battles from the inside out, quietly, powerfully, and naturally. Before you go to bed tonight, I want you to do one thing. Open your fridge and check if there's garlic in there. If there is, set one clove aside for tomorrow morning. And if not, make it your first item on tomorrow's grocery list. That small clove might just be the most powerful heart medicine you never knew you had. Most people think memory loss and poor circulation are just part of getting older. But what if your blood was simply too sluggish to deliver what your brain and body needed? That's exactly what I discovered with Diane, a 69-year-old retired librarian who came into my clinic complaining of cold hands, swollen ankles, and forgetfulness. She'd tried everything: ginkgo, walking, even drinking more water, but nothing stuck. One small change made the difference. And it wasn't a pill. Beetroot, that humble purple root you often see ignored in the corner of salad bars, might just be the most overlooked natural energizer for people over 60. It's packed with nitrates, compounds that the body converts into nitric oxide, a molecule that helps dilate blood vessels, improving flow and reducing pressure. For Diane, this meant that her heart no longer had to work as hard to push blood to her brain or extremities. Within weeks of adding beetroot juice to her morning routine, She told me something that gave me goosebumps. I feel like my hands belong to me again. But beetroot doesn't just warm cold fingers. It carries something even more precious: betanin and flavonoids, antioxidants that bind to toxins and neutralize them before they damage your blood cells. These compounds don't just cleanse the blood. They help sharpen mental clarity, boost stamina, and even improve digestion. I often tell my patients that beetroot is like a natural oil change for your blood system. It doesn't just remove the gunk, it reconditions the whole engine. Now, no food is perfect. Beetroot does contain natural sugars, and some folks with sensitive stomachs may feel bloated if they drink too much juice too quickly. But the upsides far outweigh the drawbacks. When roasted, grated raw into salads, or blended into a juice with lemon and ginger, beetroot becomes one of the easiest superfoods to weave into your week. I usually recommend at least 3 servings a week. The results aren't just in your head, they're in your oxygen levels, your complexion, and even how quickly you recover from walking up the stairs. Scientific studies agree. A trial published in Hypertension found that older adults who drank beetroot juice daily saw measurable reductions in blood pressure. Another study from the University of Exeter showed enhanced cognitive performance in seniors who consumed beetroot regularly. What I find most encouraging is that none of these studies required extreme doses, just a small glass a day, something anyone can manage. What made Diane's case special wasn't just the results, it was her confidence. She started sleeping better, remembering names more easily, and even felt steady on her feet again. That's the power of giving your blood the right tools. Tonight, I want you to think about one thing. When was the last time you gave your body a chance to feel alive from the inside out? If your answer is, I don't remember, then beetroot might be exactly where you begin. We've all been told to eat our greens, but nobody really explained why. And most of us think of kale as just another bitter leaf tossed on trendy plates in expensive cafes. But let me tell you a story that might change how you look at this humble vegetable forever. George was 65 when he came to me, struggling with chronic fatigue and a general heaviness that even a full night's sleep couldn't shake off. His lab results didn't scream danger, but something was clearly off. What we discovered wasn't about pills or procedures. It was about his liver. You see, kale is more than a green. It's a full-body reset disguised as a vegetable. At the cellular level, kale delivers chlorophyll, the same pigment that makes leaves green, which acts like a magnet for heavy metals and toxic residue floating through your bloodstream. Chlorophyll binds to those invaders and helps flush them out, easing the burden on your liver and kidneys. Think of it as hiring a professional cleaning crew for your internal plumbing. And for someone like George, whose body was overwhelmed from decades of processed food and stress, that cleansing power was a game changer. But the magic doesn't stop at detox. Kale is loaded with vitamin K, folate, fiber, and a spectrum of minerals that directly support hepatic function, that's your liver and renal efficiency, meaning your kidneys get a helping hand in filtration. When those two organs function well, everything else in your body becomes lighter, blood flows cleaner, joints ache less, your mind feels sharper, and your digestion, which for many people over 60 turns sluggish, finally picks up speed again. Let me be honest. Kale is not the most convenient food to love. It's got texture, it's got bite, and if prepared wrong, it can taste like you're chewing a forest floor. But that's fixable. What I usually suggest is blending it into a morning smoothie with banana and lemon, or lightly sautéing it with garlic and olive oil until it softens. The goal isn't to force it down, it's to make it a routine that fits your life, because the benefits come not from one heroic salad, but from showing up for your body day after day. George started with just 3 servings a week. Within a month, his energy was steadier, his digestion improved, and he told me something I'll never forget. I don't feel heavy anymore. That statement may sound simple, but for a man who spent years dragging himself out of bed, it was revolutionary. and science supports this shift. A study from the Journal of Medicinal Food found that cruciferous vegetables like kale stimulate enzymes that help the liver neutralize carcinogens and metabolic waste. Another study in nutrition research linked daily kale intake to improved cholesterol ratios in older adults. So, if you've been feeling stuck, foggy, or just plain tired lately, don't underestimate the power of something as unglamorous as a leafy green. Kale isn't a trend. It's a tool, one that's been waiting patiently in your grocery aisle, ready to help you start again. And tonight, I challenge you to pick up a bunch, not because it's trendy, but because it might just be the lifeline your body's been quietly asking for. When most people think of lemon, they think of sourness, a flavor, a garnish, maybe something to drop in tea when you have a cold. But I want to tell you a story that begins with a bruise. Marlene, a 71-year-old retired school principal, came to me with a concern most doctors would have brushed off. She was bruising too easily. Her blood work was fine, but her veins? Fragile, inflamed, and losing elasticity. And that's when I remembered something simple, something yellow, something sharp. Lemon, as ordinary as it may seem, holds one of the most extraordinary powers for aging blood vessels. You see, beyond the vitamin C, which everyone talks about, lemon delivers a deeper gift. It helps your body maintain an alkaline state while simultaneously scrubbing your bloodstream of lingering acidic waste. That balance is crucial. Chronic internal inflammation, often invisible but always damaging, eats away at the delicate linings of your veins and arteries. And lemon, taken regularly, acts as a natural anti-inflammatory and vasoprotector. What's more, vitamin C is a cornerstone for collagen production. And collagen isn't just for skin. It's the structural protein that keeps blood vessels flexible and resilient. Without it, vessels stiffen, crack, and break more easily. That's what was happening to Marlene. A cup of warm lemon water every morning became her quiet revolution. After 6 weeks, she told me her bruises faded faster, and she felt less fragile. Not just physically, but emotionally too. But let's be honest, lemon isn't a cure-all. If taken in excess or on an empty stomach without dilution, it can irritate tooth enamel or cause slight gastric discomfort in sensitive individuals. That's why I always recommend it be consumed diluted in warm water, preferably in the morning to jumpstart digestion, hydration, and gentle detox. Think of it as rinsing your inner pipes at sunrise, cleaning out what yesterday left behind. Scientific literature supports this practice. A study in the Journal of Clinical Biochemistry and Nutrition found that daily lemon intake was associated with lower systolic blood pressure and better arterial flexibility in adults over 60. Another investigation highlighted lemon's role in supporting liver enzyme activity, making toxin removal faster and more efficient. But what I find most meaningful is the way something so small, half a lemon in a glass, can reset your sense of control. Marlene didn't just see fewer bruises. She began walking more. She started journaling again. It was like her body sent a signal that it was healing, and her mind followed. That's what I want for you. Not just better numbers on a lab report, but a deeper feeling of steadiness inside your own skin. So here's what I want you to do tomorrow morning. Before coffee, before the news, squeeze half a lemon into a glass of warm water and drink it slowly. Not for the taste, but for the promise that your blood, your veins, your body are worth tending to one quiet sip at a time. We often look for solutions in the newest pill, the latest breakthrough, or the most talked about supplement. But sometimes, the answer sits quietly in your kitchen cabinet, as it has for centuries. That was the case with Walter, a 76-year-old widower who came to me feeling constantly foggy and cold. His hands and feet were often numb, his energy dipped by mid-morning, and worst of all, he felt like his mind was slipping through cracks he couldn't see. He'd given up coffee months earlier because of heartburn, and he missed the ritual more than the caffeine. That's when I introduced him to an old friend of mine, Green tea. Green tea is not just a warm drink. It's a medicinal infusion wrapped in simplicity. Inside each cup are powerful compounds called catechins, especially EGCG, that act like shields for your blood cells. These antioxidants neutralize free radicals before they can oxidize and damage the walls of your arteries. Imagine rust spreading through metal pipes. Now, imagine coating those pipes with something that stops the rust cold. That's what green tea does. Quietly and effectively. But there's more. Green tea gently stimulates the liver's detoxification enzymes. That means your body gets better at filtering out the waste products that clog your system and slow your blood flow. In older adults, where detox pathways naturally decline, this gentle push can make a huge difference. Walter began replacing his morning coffee with a cup of warm green tea. No sugar, no milk, just the leaves and hot water. Within 2 weeks, he reported that his fingers were less numb in the mornings, and by the end of the month, he said something profound. "My brain feels awake again." What makes green tea unique among beverages is its combination of calm and clarity. It contains L-theanine, an amino acid that crosses the blood-brain barrier and promotes focus without the jittery highs of coffee. It also supports circulation to the brain, improving memory and reducing the sense of mental fatigue. For older adults, this is gold. It doesn't overstimulate, it stabilizes. Of course, green tea isn't for everyone. Those extremely sensitive to caffeine may need to stick with a decaffeinated version, and it can slightly interfere with iron absorption if consumed with meals. But these are small cautions compared to its benefits. The real key is consistency. A cup in the morning, another mid-afternoon, it becomes a ritual, not a remedy. Research validates what traditional medicine has known for centuries. A study in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that adults who drank green tea daily had a significantly lower risk of cardiovascular events. Another paper from the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition noted improvements in cholesterol ratios and arterial flexibility in adults over 65 who incorporated green tea into their routine. Walter now brews his tea the old-fashioned way, loose leaves. Slow steep, a few quiet minutes at sunrise. He says it's his way of telling his body, "I still care." And that, I believe, is the real medicine. So, tomorrow morning, if your hands feel cold or your thoughts feel scattered, try reaching for something simple. A cup of green tea might not change your whole life overnight, but it might be the beginning of remembering what it feels like to feel alive again. For something so familiar, the apple doesn't get much attention anymore. Most of us think of it as a lunchbox staple or a snack you grab on the way out the door. But let me tell you about Harold, a 68-year-old retired mechanic who hadn't eaten fruit in years, said it was just sugar with good PR. He came to me with rising blood pressure, borderline cholesterol, and a strange fatigue that clung to him even on the good days. No dramatic diagnosis, just a slow drift into dysfunction. And the first thing I asked him to do? Eat 1 apple a day. That may sound simple, even underwhelming, but there's something profoundly powerful about what an apple does once it enters your body. Rich in soluble fiber, especially pectin, apples bind to cholesterol and toxins in your gut and help usher them out before they reach your bloodstream. That means less buildup in your arteries, fewer inflammatory agents circulating through your system, and a lighter load on your liver. It's not just what the apple gives, it's what it takes away. But there's more. Apples carry a spectrum of antioxidants, quercetin, catechins, and flavonoids that protect your blood cells from oxidative damage. These compounds reinforce the walls of your veins and arteries, helping them stay elastic, flexible, and less prone to cracking under pressure. For someone like Harold, whose vessels were already showing early signs of stiffness, that meant giving his cardiovascular system a fighting chance to heal before medication became necessary. Now, apples aren't perfect. Some people with digestive sensitivity may feel gassy if they eat too many raw. And yes, they contain natural sugars, but their low glycemic index and high fiber content slow that sugar down, allowing it to release gently into your bloodstream instead of spiking your insulin. That's critical for anyone over 60 when the body's ability to manage glucose begins to fade. Harold took it seriously. He chose red apples, ate them with the peel on where most of the antioxidants live, and paired them with a handful of walnuts in the afternoon. Within 6 weeks, his cholesterol dropped, his energy stabilized, and he told me something that I still remember. I stopped feeling like I was decaying. That might sound dramatic, but I knew what he meant. It wasn't about looking younger. It was about no longer feeling like everything inside him was slowly wearing out. Science echoes these outcomes. A long-term study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that regular apple consumption was associated with lower risk of stroke and heart disease, particularly in adults over 60. Another paper noted improvements in endothelial function, the ability of blood vessels to dilate and contract, which is often compromised in aging populations. So the next time you pass by a bowl of apples, don't dismiss it as boring. That quiet crunch might be doing more than satisfying your sweet tooth. It might be polishing your bloodstream, restoring your arteries, and giving your heart the break it's been asking for in silence. Before you go to bed tonight, consider placing one apple on your kitchen counter. Let it be a gentle reminder that sometimes healing starts with the simplest habits done daily, done with care, and done for you. There's a certain kind of cold that doesn't show up on a thermometer. It's the kind that settles in your hands, your feet, and sometimes in your spirit. That's the cold Evelyn felt every morning when she got out of bed at 74. Her feet were numb, her fingers tingled. She wore socks to sleep in the summer. Her doctor said her heart was fine, but her circulation had slowed, quietly and steadily, like the rest of her aging body. That's when I introduced her to something that looked simple but carried the warmth of centuries: ginger. Ginger isn't just a spice. It's a fire starter. Not the kind that scorches, but the kind that rekindles what's been dimmed inside you. Its active compounds, especially gingerol, work as natural anti-inflammatories, helping to soothe the thin linings of your blood vessels, reduce silent inflammation, and support smoother, more efficient blood flow. Picture tiny roadblocks throughout your circulatory system. Ginger doesn't bulldoze them. It melts them, gently and gradually, allowing warmth and energy to return where coldness once reigned. But ginger's power goes beyond warming fingers and toes. It also strengthens the heart's rhythm and relaxes the muscles surrounding your vessels, reducing resistance and lowering blood pressure without pushing your system too hard. It's the kind of support your body welcomes, especially after 60, when your blood becomes more viscous and your vessels less forgiving. Of course, not everyone takes to ginger right away. Its taste is bold, its presence unmistakable. Some people experience slight heartburn if they consume too much on an empty stomach, but there's always a way to make it work for you. Evelyn started slow, a slice of fresh ginger steeped in hot water every morning, with a dash of lemon and a touch of honey. Within 10 days, she noticed something shift. Her hands no longer felt like ice by lunchtime. Her walks to the mailbox didn't leave her winded. And perhaps most telling, she said she felt lit from within. Science agrees with what ancient medicine has always known. A review published in Food and Function noted that ginger significantly improves peripheral circulation and reduces blood viscosity in older adults. Another study from the Journal of Cardiovascular Pharmacology demonstrated its ability to inhibit platelet aggregation, the clumping of blood cells that can lead to dangerous clots. Ginger also assists your liver and kidneys in flushing out toxins. Think of it as a natural detox system that works every day without you even noticing. Combine it with warm water, lemon, or even a slice in your soup, and you're giving your body not just warmth, but protection. The kind that doesn't come in capsules or prescriptions. The kind that's earned through quiet, consistent care. Evelyn now keeps a jar of grated ginger in her fridge and says she'll never go back to cold mornings. "It's not about feeling young," she told me. "It's about not feeling old in all the wrong ways." That stuck with me, because aging isn't the enemy, stagnation is. And if you've been feeling stuck, heavy, or cold in ways you can't quite explain, maybe it's time to bring a little heat back into your life. So tonight, before you wind down, boil some water and drop in a slice of fresh ginger. Sip slowly. Let that warmth spread, not just through your body, but into the quiet spaces where your energy has been waiting to return. Most people think of carrots as rabbit food, something crunchy you dip in ranch or toss into a soup without thinking twice. But for Margaret, 73, the carrot became something else entirely. She came to me not with a complaint, but with a question: why am I always tired even after eating clean? She had cut sugar, reduced red meat, walked every day, but still, her energy felt trapped under a layer of something heavy. That's when we looked beneath the surface and found the issue wasn't just what she ate, but how her body was processing it. The missing piece? Cellular protection. Carrots, in their bright, unassuming way, offer one of the most potent defenses for aging blood and organs. The magic lies in beta-carotene, a compound your body converts into vitamin A, an essential nutrient for maintaining the integrity of your blood vessels, red blood cells, and organ linings. Think of beta-carotene as armor for your cells. It doesn't just fend off free radicals that damage DNA, it actively supports tissue regeneration, allowing your liver, kidneys, and even your bone marrow to function with less stress. But carrots don't stop there. They're rich in potassium, which helps balance sodium in the blood, a key factor in reducing blood pressure and improving circulation. When Margaret added carrots to her daily meals, roasted with olive oil or grated raw into her morning smoothie, her lab numbers didn't just improve. Her mood lifted, her skin brightened, and she said something I still think about. "It's like my body stopped fighting me." There's also the fiber. Carrots contain both soluble and insoluble fibers, which play a critical role in digestive health. Why does that matter for your blood? Because when your digestion is sluggish, toxins that should leave your body get reabsorbed into your bloodstream. That burdens your liver, clogs your circulation, and leaves you feeling sluggish no matter how healthy your meals look on the outside. Carrots help keep that cycle moving cleanly and quietly. Now, a word of caution. While carrots are wonderfully nourishing, excessive carrot juice or supplementation can, in rare cases, lead to carotenemia, a harmless but odd orange tint to the skin. But that takes far more than a few servings a day. For most people, 1 to 2 medium carrots, or a handful of slices in a meal, is a perfect dose of blood-loving nutrients. Scientific research backs all of this. A study published in Nutrients found that diets rich in carotenoids, like those in carrots, significantly reduced oxidative stress in older adults. Another trial from the British Journal of Nutrition linked regular carrot intake with improved liver enzyme function and better endothelial health, meaning the walls of the blood vessels became more responsive and less inflamed. Margaret now calls carrots her reset route. She prepares them 3 different ways each week, not out of boredom, but out of respect. "I used to think energy came from coffee or protein shakes," she told me. "Now I know it starts from the inside, where your body feels safe again." So here's what I'd like you to try. Tomorrow at lunch, instead of reaching for something quick, take 5 minutes to peel, chop, and steam a fresh carrot. Drizzle a little olive oil, a pinch of sea salt. And as you take that first bite, remember that healing isn't about overhauling your diet. Sometimes it's about giving your body the basic building blocks it's been missing, and letting that quiet restoration do the rest. It's easy to overlook broccoli. It's not trendy, it's not exotic, and frankly, it's been the punchline of every picky eater's childhood. But sometimes, the very thing we avoided at dinner as kids becomes the quiet protector we desperately need later in life. That was true for Henry, a 67-year-old former truck driver who came to me after a mild stroke. His cholesterol was up. His blood pressure had crept past safe zones, and his doctors were piling on medications. But there was something deeper beneath the surface: chronic inflammation silently chipping away at his blood vessels. That's where broccoli entered the picture. You see, broccoli isn't just a vegetable, it's a biochemical fortress. Inside its florets, live compounds like sulforaphane, glucoraphanin, and indole-3-carbinol, all of which have been shown to neutralize inflammatory agents and trigger your body's natural detox response. Sulforaphane, in particular, activates pathways in the liver that help your body disarm toxins before they circulate in your blood. Imagine installing an extra filtration system in your house, not to catch the big debris, but the tiny particles that erode your pipes over time. That's what broccoli does for your veins. But the benefit doesn't stop at detox. Broccoli is also rich in vitamin K and C, both crucial for repairing and strengthening the lining of your blood vessels. And then there's the fiber, a friend your gut and heart both depend on. When fiber slows the absorption of fat and sugar, it eases the burden on your bloodstream and gives your cardiovascular system a break. That's especially important after 60, when every organ is working just a little harder to do the same job. Henry didn't fall in love with broccoli overnight, but he gave it a shot steamed lightly, tossed with garlic and olive oil 3 times a week. After 3 months, his inflammation markers dropped. His doctor reduced one of his medications, and he said something simple but powerful: "I stopped feeling like a time bomb." That's when I knew broccoli had done more than help his arteries. It gave him back a sense of safety. Let's talk facts. A clinical study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that adults who consumed cruciferous vegetables like broccoli had significantly lower levels of C-reactive protein, a key marker of systemic inflammation. Another study from Johns Hopkins University found that sulforaphane boosted detox enzyme activity in the liver by over 30% within days. These aren't minor findings, they're major clues that food can shift the trajectory of how we age. Broccoli isn't perfect. Overcooking it can destroy its most powerful compounds. And some people with thyroid concerns should balance it with iodine-rich foods. But in reasonable amounts, 2 to 3 times a week, gently cooked, it becomes a form of edible insurance. Not flashy, just steady protection from the inside out. Henry now calls broccoli his green security system. He eats it without complaint, not because it's his favorite food, but because it's earned his respect. That's a lesson worth carrying. So tonight, if you're planning dinner, consider skipping the bread and adding steamed broccoli with a drizzle of lemon and olive oil. Not because it's trendy, but because it might be the simplest way to guard your blood from the silent threats of aging and remind your body that you're still fighting for it, one meal at a time. It wasn't the heat that bothered Thomas, it was the swelling. At 70, his ankles would puff up like balloons by late afternoon. His fingers felt tight, his knees stiff, and no matter how much he cut back on salt, the pressure never fully lifted. He described it to me as carrying water I didn't ask for. His blood pressure danced just above safe, his circulation felt sluggish, and his body, he said, felt heavy in a way no one could measure. That's when I turned his attention to something most people overlook: cucumber. Cucumber isn't flashy. It doesn't have the boldness of garlic or the color of beets, but it offers something profoundly restorative: hydration at the cellular level. Composed of over 90% water, cucumber doesn't just quench thirst. It acts like a natural diuretic, gently signaling your kidneys to release excess fluid without stripping your body of vital minerals. For someone like Thomas, whose organs were holding onto water like an old sponge, this made all the difference. But hydration is only part of the story. Cucumber contains flavonoids and tannins, plant compounds that help calm inflammation and protect blood cells from oxidative damage. This reduces the wear and tear on arteries and capillaries, making circulation smoother and pressure more balanced. It also contains a small but mighty dose of potassium, which helps counteract sodium, relaxes vessel walls, and gives your heart a lighter load to carry. The real magic, though, is in the way cucumber supports detox. By improving kidney filtration and encouraging urination, Cucumber helps the body flush out not just water, but waste products. Things like uric acid, excess glucose, and metabolic byproducts that slow down healing and fog the brain. And when that system flows again, you don't just look less puffy. You feel cleaner, lighter, clearer. Thomas started adding cucumber to his daily routine, not in juice form, not in trendy detox teas, just fresh, raw slices with a squeeze of lemon and a pinch of sea salt. Within 2 weeks, the swelling in his feet subsided. Within a month, his blood pressure dropped by 10 points. And by the end of the 3rd month, he told me, "It's like I wrung out the inside of my body." Science supports what he felt. A study in phytotherapy research found that cucumber extracts have significant anti-inflammatory and diuretic effects, particularly in aging adults. Another review in the Journal of Aging and Health highlighted cucumber's role in reducing water retention and supporting kidney function, 2 factors that heavily influence blood pressure and cardiovascular load in later life. Now, cucumber isn't a silver bullet. It won't undo years of processed food or chronic inflammation overnight. And yes, it's mild in flavor, which means you have to get creative to enjoy it consistently. But that's the beauty of it. Cucumber doesn't demand change. It invites it quietly, gently, 1 slice at a time. Thomas now keeps pre-sliced cucumber in his fridge next to his blood pressure monitor. He calls it his insurance snack. And sometimes, that's what healing looks like. Not grand gestures, just cool, clean choices made again and again. So tonight, before you reach for something salty, try this instead. Slice half a cucumber, sprinkle a little lemon juice, and eat it slowly. Not for flavor alone, but for the message it sends to your body. I see the weight you carry, and I'm here to help you let go of it, sip by sip, cell by cell. There's a moment when you realize something's wrong not from a test result, but from a sigh that feels heavier than it should. For Linda, 72, that moment came while tying her shoes. She felt winded, her chest tight, and her legs heavy. Her doctor said it wasn't a heart attack, but her cholesterol was creeping up, and her arteries showed early signs of hardening. She looked at me and said, "I feel like my blood is stuck in traffic." And that's when I introduced her to something red, ripe, and often taken for granted: the tomato. Tomatoes are more than salad decoration. Inside their soft skin lives a compound called lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that specifically targets oxidative stress in the blood. Lycopene protects the endothelial lining, the inner layer of your blood vessels, keeping it smooth, elastic, and free from the microtears that invite cholesterol to stick and harden. It's like adding a protective coat of wax to aging pipes, allowing everything to move with less resistance. But tomatoes do even more. They're rich in vitamin C, which boosts collagen production to keep vessels supple. They also provide potassium, which helps flush out excess sodium and reduce blood pressure, especially crucial for people over 60 whose bodies often retain salt more easily. For Linda, this meant less pressure inside her system, less strain on her heart, and more oxygen reaching her brain and muscles. She didn't want pills. She wanted something she could live with. So we started simple roasted cherry tomatoes with dinner, fresh slices with olive oil in the afternoon, and twice a week, a homemade soup made from slow-cooked tomatoes, garlic, and a pinch of sea salt. Within a month, her energy returned. Her face looked brighter, and she said something I'll never forget. "I feel like the road inside me is open again." Cooking tomatoes actually makes them more powerful. Heat breaks down their cell walls, releasing lycopene in a form your body can absorb more easily. That's why tomato sauce, especially homemade with olive oil, is one of the most heart-protective foods you can eat. Olive oil enhances lycopene absorption, turning a humble fruit into a cardiovascular powerhouse. Of course, tomatoes aren't perfect. Some people with acid reflux may need to avoid raw tomatoes on an empty stomach. But when eaten with other foods or cooked gently, most of those issues fade. The benefits, especially for circulation and inflammation, far outweigh the occasional tang. Research backs this up. A study published in Critical Reviews in Food Science and Nutrition found that lycopene intake was associated with significantly lower risk of atherosclerosis in older adults. Another trial from Harvard School of Public Health noted that participants who ate tomato-based meals regularly had up to a 30% reduction in cardiovascular risk factors. Linda now grows her own tomatoes on her back porch. She says watching them ripen reminds her that healing can be slow, but it's real. That the body, like a garden, responds to what you give it, not just today, but every day. So if you've been feeling a bit stuck tight in the chest, sluggish in the legs, or foggy in the head, don't overlook what a ripe red tomato can do. Chop it, roast it, simmer it, add olive oil. And with every bite, know that you're feeding not just your hunger, but the highways inside your body that keep everything moving. Some things are so small, we forget to take them seriously. That was the case with Arthur, 69, a retired civil engineer who prided himself on precision, except when it came to his own health. He came to me with slightly elevated cholesterol, some memory lapses, and the vague feeling that his energy just wasn't clicking like it used to. "I'm not sick," he said, "but I'm not sharp either." He wasn't looking for a miracle. He just wanted to feel like his mind and heart were on the same page again. That's when I handed him a small bag of walnuts. Walnuts aren't flashy. They're not hyped on billboards or featured in miracle diet documentaries. But what they lack in drama, they make up for in quiet strength. Each walnut is packed with alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based form of omega-3, which acts as a repair crew for your blood vessels. It doesn't just reduce inflammation, it strengthens the arterial walls, keeping them flexible and less prone to cracks or plaque buildup. For someone like Arthur, whose body was starting to show early signs of vascular stiffness, that flexibility was critical. But the story doesn't stop at the heart. Walnuts also contain polyphenols and vitamin E, antioxidants that neutralize free radicals and reduce oxidative stress, a major culprit behind premature aging of both the cardiovascular and nervous systems. That means better circulation, but also clearer thinking, improved memory, and more emotional steadiness. Arthur began a simple routine: 5 walnuts each morning, raw and unsalted. Within 2 months, his LDL cholesterol dropped, his HDL climbed, and most notably, he told me he was remembering names faster and sleeping more deeply. "It's like someone turned the noise down in my head," he said. That was the moment I knew we'd tapped into something deeper than diet. Science agrees. A study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that daily walnut intake significantly lowered the risk of cardiovascular disease in adults over 60. Another paper from the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging, showed improved cognitive scores in seniors who consumed walnuts regularly, even after adjusting for other lifestyle factors. It's not just about numbers, it's about clarity, resilience, and the ability to stay sharp where it matters most. Of course, walnuts aren't a free pass. They're calorie-dense and portion control matters. But a small handful, 4 to 6 pieces a day, is enough to deliver all the benefits without tipping the scale. The key is consistency, not quantity. Arthur now keeps a jar of walnuts on his kitchen counter, right next to his tea bags. He doesn't think of them as snacks anymore. He calls them little builders, working quietly behind the scenes to support his brain, his heart, and his confidence. So, if you've been feeling foggy, stiff, or just a little disconnected from your own rhythm, start small. Add a few walnuts to your afternoon routine. Chew slowly. Let your body remember what nourishment feels like, not just in your stomach, but in the quiet repair happening beneath the surface. Most people don't think twice about sunflower seeds. They're a snack you might see at baseball games or in trail mix. But for Claire, 75, they became something far more powerful. She had always considered herself healthy, never smoked, walked daily, ate clean. But her last blood test showed rising LDL cholesterol and a slight increase in blood pressure. "I do everything right," she said, "and still feel like my heart's under pressure." Her cardiologist recommended more medications, but Claire wanted to try something gentler first. That's when we looked at the small things, starting with seeds. Sunflower seeds may be tiny, but inside each one is a cocktail of cardiovascular support. The standout is vitamin E, a potent antioxidant that specifically protects the delicate linings of your blood vessels from oxidative damage. This matters more than you think. Over time, oxidation weakens the walls of your arteries, making them sticky and vulnerable to plaque. Vitamin E acts like a polish, preserving flexibility and preventing the kind of hardening that leads to high blood pressure and heart disease. But sunflower seeds offer more. They contain magnesium, a mineral most older adults are deficient in, yet essential for muscle relaxation, including the smooth muscles in your blood vessels. When those muscles relax, your vessels widen just enough to improve flow and lower pressure. Combined with selenium and healthy fats, sunflower seeds reduce internal inflammation, balance cholesterol levels, and keep your blood moving clean and steady. Claire began with a small habit: 1 tablespoon of unsalted sunflower seeds each morning sprinkled over her oatmeal. She wasn't expecting a miracle, but within 6 weeks, her LDL dropped, her HDL rose, and she said something I'll never forget: "I feel like the pressure inside me let go." Her doctor was surprised. Her confidence returned. Let's look at the science. A study published in Nutrients found that sunflower seed consumption improved lipid profiles and reduced blood pressure in adults over 65. Another review in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences highlighted vitamin E's role in preventing oxidative vascular damage, especially in aging populations where natural defenses decline. These aren't theoretical benefits. They're real, measurable changes that begin at the microscopic level inside your blood. That said, moderation is key. Sunflower seeds are dense in calories, and the salted or flavored versions often found in stores can add unnecessary sodium. Always choose raw or lightly roasted seeds, unsalted, and stick to 1 to 2 tablespoons per day. That's all it takes to activate their benefits without overwhelming your system. Claire now carries a small tin of seeds in her purse. She calls them her daily defense. It's not a dramatic gesture, but in her words, "It's something I do for my heart before the world has a chance to wear me down." So if your numbers are creeping up, or your energy feels blocked in ways you can't explain, consider reaching for something small. Add a spoonful of sunflower seeds to your yogurt or salad tomorrow. Let them do their quiet work, defending, balancing, protecting while you go on living. When Martha turned 70, she thought her biggest battle would be her joints. But what concerned her most wasn't stiffness. It was the silent pressure inside her chest. Her blood pressure numbers had crept up over the years, her cholesterol had started to climb, and her digestion felt slower than ever. "It's like my whole system is trying to move through molasses," she told me. She had tried cutting fats, skipping meals, and drinking more water. None of it helped. That's when I asked her a question she didn't expect. "Have you tried adding more fat, specifically avocado?" Avocado is often misunderstood. For decades, we feared its fat content, assuming anything creamy had to be dangerous for the heart. But here's the truth. Avocado contains monounsaturated fats, the same kind found in olive oil, that don't clog arteries. Instead, they help clear them. These healthy fats raise HDL, the good cholesterol, and lower LDL, the bad kind, promoting a smoother, cleaner flow of blood through the vessels. For someone like Martha, whose cardiovascular system was burdened by years of low-fat, high-carb dieting, avocado was not indulgent, it was medicine. But the benefits run deeper. Avocado is rich in glutathione, a master antioxidant that supports liver detoxification. A clean liver means cleaner blood, fewer toxins, and less systemic inflammation, one of the silent drivers behind aging and chronic disease. Add to that a hefty dose of potassium, which helps relax blood vessels and flush excess sodium, and you've got a fruit that works on every level of circulation, from heart to kidney. Martha started small, half an avocado each day, mashed on whole grain toast or blended into her morning smoothie. Within a month, her digestion improved. Her blood pressure dropped by 12 points. And she told me something that made us both pause. I stopped feeling like I was inflamed from the inside. That kind of shift isn't just physical, it's emotional. It gives a person their calm back. Research backs this up. A clinical trial published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that adults who ate 1 avocado per day showed improved cholesterol profiles and vascular function. Another study in Nutrients confirmed avocado's anti-inflammatory impact, particularly in adults over 60 with early signs of metabolic decline. Now, avocado isn't for everyone every day. It's calorie-rich, and portion control matters. But half a fruit a day plain, with lemon, or topped with seeds, can offer powerful cardiovascular protection without tipping the scale. The key is consistency and simplicity. Martha now calls avocado her green medicine. It's not fancy. It doesn't need marketing, but it works. And sometimes, healing comes not from elimination, but addition from welcoming back the foods your body recognizes as fuel, not threat. So tomorrow, instead of skipping breakfast or reaching for something processed, take half an avocado, add a pinch of salt, maybe a squeeze of lemon, and eat it slowly. Not because it's trendy, but because it may be the quiet partner your heart's been waiting for. Some of the most powerful protectors in the body aren't loud. They don't give you energy boosts or flashy improvements overnight. But they do something more important: they keep the foundation of your health from crumbling. That's what I told David, 74, a retired high school teacher who had been feeling off. Not sick, just slower. More fog, more infections that lingered, more fatigue that sleep didn't fix. I feel like I'm always catching up, he told me. His tests were mostly normal, but one small number stood out: low selenium. Selenium is one of those micronutrients we rarely talk about unless it's missing. But for older adults, it may be the difference between aging steadily and aging under siege. This mineral plays a critical role in your body's antioxidant defense system, helping to neutralize free radicals before they can damage blood cells, tissues, or organs. It also supports enzymes in the liver that break down toxins and eliminate them from your bloodstream, which is especially important after 60, when your natural detox capacity begins to decline. David had never heard of selenium, but he knew how it felt to have a body that wasn't bouncing back like it used to. We didn't start with supplements. We started with Brazil nuts, just 1 per day. Within 4 weeks, his energy improved. His brain fog eased. And the next time he caught a cold, it passed in days, not weeks. I didn't feel like I was fighting blind, he said. That line stuck with me because selenium doesn't fight for you. It equips your body to fight for itself. Beyond detox and immunity, selenium supports thyroid function, reduces inflammation in blood vessels, and protects red and white blood cells from oxidative stress. That means more balanced blood flow, stronger immune responses, and better resistance to chronic infections that often go unnoticed until they do real damage. And when your immune system stays sharp, your blood stays cleaner, and your organs stay safer. Scientific evidence backs this up. A study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that low selenium levels in older adults were associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease and cognitive decline. Another paper from the National Institutes of Health emphasized selenium's role in glutathione peroxidase activity, a critical enzyme for cellular detoxification and inflammation control. Now, like any mineral, selenium must be used wisely. Too little leaves your body unprotected. Too much can be toxic. But nature gave us a near-perfect delivery method: Brazil nuts. Just 1 to 2 a day, no more, provides all the selenium your body needs without tipping the scale. No pills, no guesswork, just a quiet habit that strengthens everything else. David now keeps a small jar of Brazil nuts by his coffee pot. 1 nut, 1 cup, every morning. It's my daily armor, he says. And that's what I wish more people knew, that protection doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes it's the quiet trace elements that hold everything together. So if you've been feeling drained, slow to heal, or vulnerable in ways you can't explain, don't overlook what's missing. Add a Brazil nut to your morning routine and let selenium do what it does best: equip your body to protect itself from the inside out, with strength that doesn't shout but never quits.